In the subway, coffee houses and railway carriages, you can meet an informer in Russia everywhere, and you don't need to look for a reason for a long time. Moscow resident Irina made a remark to a visitor in a cafe because he called for the killing of Ukrainians. That wrote a denunciation and called the police.
At first, the policeman dispensed with the recommendation you shouldn't discuss this in public places, and they were already ready to let the girl out of the police department. But a coffee shop employee came to the rescue. He sent to the informer a link to Irina's Instagram post condemning the mobilization. As a result, the police issued a protocol under Article 20.3.3 of the Code of Administrative Offenses about discrediting the Russian army. Repeated violation of this article in Russian legislation threatens with criminal liability and possible imprisonment, from the Insider publication.
Or the Moscow subway. In March, a passenger complained about a guy who allegedly had pictures in his smartphone that discredited the Russian army. And in May, a vigilant Moscow resident wrote a denunciation of a subway passenger because of his yellow and blue clothes. In the statement, she even indicated that the leader of the right sector, Dmitro Yarosh, was traveling in the carriage. The metro in general has become a dangerous place in Russia.
I opened Twitter in the subway. I realized that it could be a denunciation. I closed it. One of the users of the social network describes her feelings from traveling on public transport, from the Insider publication.
Now you can settle scores with a neighbor or colleague by writing a denunciation on him, report on each other and different camps of faithful Putinists. So in Belgorod, one group of volunteers wrote a denunciation to the city prosecutor's office about a competitor, also a volunteer. Traditionally, she was accused of ties with Ukraine and insufficient support for the Russian president. According to the Insider publication, this year there have been more cases under articles on discrediting and fakes about the Russian army. The Lions parties opened on denunciations. Both non-staff law enforcement officers and ordinary citizens can knock. Back in 2015, secret informers of the special services received the right to retire. The period of work as an informer is now included in the length of service, and information about work is transferred to the pension fund. How many denunciations have already been written in Russia is unknown. For example, according to Roskomnadzor, in 2022, about 300,000 requests from Russians were received.
In Russia, there is a renaissance of the institution of denunciation with the obvious connivance of the authorities and, one might even say, with a certain motivation on the part of the authorities. The repressive bodies that make statistics on this are directly interested in this. As for the citizens, this is still not a worked-out trauma of Stalin's time, with all these denunciations and, accordingly, fear. They are afraid of the state, they are afraid of arbitrary repressive measures.
Sociologists suggest that as the military and general political situation in Russia deteriorates, the practice of denunciations and repression will intensify there. Reported by Roman Smoler, Christina Dombrovska, UA TV News.